What's up? What's up? What's up? Your boy Domuto. We are back with another video. Today we were watching Saiyan. What if Frieza was good? I think this was requested by Bart. What is Bart Jones? My boy Bart Jones. He always got the request ready for me for the what if story. So you know how that goes. So we got to check this one out. What if Frieza was good? I thought I watched this, but maybe I didn't. But yeah, we can get into it, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. And what if Frieza was good? This would be it'd be a lot weird. It'd be a lot of changes to the story. Be a lot of changes. Like the whole premise of Dragon Ball Z for sure would just be different. I don't know. But yeah, get into it.
This one's been requested a lot, and obviously other people have done this too. At least in different ways. I didn't just want to make a scenario where Frieza simply turns good, because I feel like that kind of goes against the whole point of him. And there's definitely a few ways it can be done, but I'd rather do something a little bit different here. In this scenario, he's going to be good from the start. We're changing his entire backstory, and then some. Today, let's begin What If Frieza Was Good, aka What If Frieza Was Sent to Earth. We start when Frieza's actually born. Now, we could simply say he's just born good, and he's sent to Earth like this, but no. This is the actual Frieza that we do know. Changes are going to come after he's born. There's a reason I'm keeping it this way, too. Of course, King Cold's impressed with him, and he's cruel right from birth as well as powerful. This was actually stated before.
I don't know.
King Cold quickly wanted to hand over his empire to him, just because of how quickly Frieza displayed all of this. But this time around, someone gets in the way. A character who shouldn't be here normally, and one who's going to change the course of everything. Cooler. Frieza's older brother.
Appearance,
in this scenario, of course, he wants to take over Cold's army, but now with Frieza in the way, he can't do that, because King Cold wants to hand the power to Frieza. He has to prove himself somehow, or at the very least get Frieza out of the picture. Both would be ideal, too. But the thing is, he has to work quick because Frieza's smart. He probably develops pretty quickly, too. One day, Cooler takes him along, on a mission of sorts. They're in a random solar system, on the outskirts of it, actually. This one's quite secluded, and it's the perfect spot to kill Frieza. That's the whole reason Cooler took him here. Of course, the second Frieza feels like Cooler's up to something, he fights back. But this is why Cooler acted right now. Day by day, just by growing normally, Frieza's growing stronger. Soon enough, Cooler will be surpassed. And the only way to stop that is to stop Frieza. The fight's very short, though, and Cooler seemingly ends it pretty effectively. Cooler pierces a beam right through Frieza's head, although he knows that's not going to be enough to kill him. He finishes it off with a powerful blast, saying goodbye to his younger brother. Frieza takes the full force of the blast and then is launched right into the sun, darting across the solar system, with Cooler leaving him there for dead, returning back to King Cold. Frieza drifts aimlessly through space towards the sun. This solar system was a worthless one that Cooler chose. There's only one planet here with life on it, and even that one is worthless and weak. Cooler knows that he and his brother are resilient, but that should kill him. And no one would even bother to look here for Frieza. By the time they did, well, it would already be too late. And besides, King Cold probably won't care either. This will show Cooler's own cruelty, if anything, and he'll have a fine replacement for Frieza. This not only gets rid of Frieza, but it's a way for Cooler to prove himself, killing his own brother. What better way for him to prove to King Cold that he's cruel enough to run that empire? Near death, Frieza continues to drift throughout space. But by chance, he happens to end up on one of the planets in the solar system, pulled by its gravitational forces. He falls out of the sky and lands in a vast ocean. He's already unconscious and now underwater. Of course, he's very durable, but after all that, it's a miracle he's still alive. But something pulls him out of the ocean. He's brought back to shore on a nearby island. He landed miles away from Kame House, and Master Roshi happened to notice something fall out of the sky. He was curious as to what it is, though. So Turtle went out to go and find what it was, and they see some alien-looking thing there. It's a living creature, but it's definitely not something from Earth. It's kind of freaky. In case you couldn't already tell, to do this story, we're going to have to make a lot of things happen that didn't happen. This way it makes it a little bit more interesting and unique. But another thing is we kind of have to assume some things about Frieza. We don't know his actual age, so we wouldn't know when this actually takes place. So we're going to have to make an assumption here. In the flashback section of the Broly movie, we see him take over the same year Broly and Vegeta are born, age 732. We kind of have to stretch our sources here, but a movie guidebook states that King Cold wanted to immediately hand over control of Frieza, stating that he showed the power right at birth, which is what I mentioned before in this video. And based on a guidebook, Frieza is also stated to be a child at this time. Again, we don't really know the specifics of how his species develops and such, so maybe he's just this coherent and smart right from birth, or maybe this took a few years. And this is where the assumption comes in. We could assume that in the Broly movie, Frieza is about 5 years old, born 5 years before Vegeta and age 727. So that at least establishes a starting point for us.
Okay.
And here we'll say right now it's age 728. This fight with Cooler happened 1 year into his life. This feels reasonable, especially because we don't know how Frieza ages, and this is also in line with what vague stuff we know about him. So that at least establishes a starting point for us. That weird gem on his head doesn't scar like flesh, but Roshi notices an imprint in the middle of it where it healed over. When he found Frieza, he was pretty beaten up. He still has no clue of what happened, but something or someone injured Frieza when he fell out of space. Maybe it was just because of him falling out of the sky. But it looked like more than that, and Roshi can't exactly say what it was. Roshi's honestly not too sure what to do here either. I mean, he found a random alien-looking thing that fell out of the sky. Of course he's not going to know what to do. Roshi is surprised to see that he's not dead in the first place. The only thing really working in Frieza's favor is that Roshi assumes that this is some sort of kid. And after finding Frieza, he feels some sort of responsibility to at least help him get back to full health.
Okay,
it does take
Roshi.
some time. Healing properly takes a bit for
W
him,
Roshi in the
and he needs to be
chat.
rehabilitated too. But still, after all that, Roshi's just surprised that his durability is that high. And he doesn't even know the extent of what happened. Thankfully, he's still in one piece, but he's badly injured internally, and he took a blast right through
like
the
I
head.
ain't see that shit.
Not that Roshi knows, but he just knows something went through his head. When Frieza eventually comes to, he has no memory of sorts, not even of his name. He's intelligent, though. He can speak clearly and formally, but he has no clue of who he is, where he is, or how he got here. We're doing the same thing that happened to Kakarot when he was sent to Earth, in a much different manner, but still similar in how it ends. Roshi wonders if someone tried to kill him, and why that would even be the case. But whatever he asks Frieza, he has no answers for it. He's completely forgotten everything. But Frieza thanks Roshi for his help. He's pretty good-natured, too. Unbeknownst to Roshi, this is a symptom of the head trauma. Well, Roshi needs a name for him to at least call him something, so for the time being he gives him a name. We'll have it based on Journey to the West like Goku. And there was one character that I found from it that seems pretty fitting. The White Dragon Horse. The reason I find him fitting is because the White Dragon Horse was once a prince. In short, he was slated to be executed, but was eventually spared and sent to assist another character on their journey. So, you see what I'm getting at with the name. Former royalty, sent to be executed, then spared, and now going to be part of someone else.
I don't see it.
There's significance to why I chose this character, for reasons you'll see later too. One name that could be used for him is Yulong. Son Goku comes from one of the ways Son Wukong could be read. Now, I'm not going to act like I have any sort of deep understanding of any Chinese dialect, or Japanese for that matter even, since that's how Goku got his name. So I'll instead just use the name how it's said in English, my language. His name will be Yulong, which comes from Yulong, another alias for him meaning Jade Dragon. And the name ends up sticking. Roshi still doesn't really know what to do with him, but he comes to like Yulong, and decides to raise him. Yulong excels as Roshi's student. His power is exceptional, and it's actually somewhat freakish. He needs a lot of time to be brought back to full health and actually fully heal. Roshi doesn't have Senzu beans on deck for him, although it doesn't really seem like he needs them right away. The power that Roshi's seeing right now isn't even his full power. So by the time it seems like Yulong's return to what seems to be his full health, Roshi gets to see even more of that. And he doesn't even know if this is his limit, because he still has amnesia and everything. Maybe he has some long-lasting effects from whatever happened. Roshi can't know for sure. Roshi wonders how strong he's supposed to be, and why he's even that strong. Also, what if his full potential was limited somehow? It seems like he's slowly regaining his power back, although it's weird to think he had this much to begin with. Roshi still has no clue of his origin, but Yulong learns more about Earth, and thankfully also has a martial artist teacher. Due to him being incredibly smart and already having some great power to start with, Roshi decides to put him as part of the Turtle School. It doesn't take long for him to master martial arts. Only a couple of years. He's already gone through every training Roshi could think of, including Korn's training too at some point. By the day he's growing stronger, smarter, more Earthling-like too. Of course, Yulong could tell that he's not from Earth, but he still doesn't know where he's from. He can't remember anything. The first memory he has is waking up on Roshi's island. Weirdly enough, at some point, Roshi hears that his former student Gohan even found something that landed in the forest. A baby with a monkey tail, with Gohan now taking this kid in. Weird how it worked out like that. Both of them kind of went through something similar.
Right.
Of course, with Yulong's progress as a martial artist, eventually he enters one of the World Martial Arts tournaments. He first gained notoriety in the 19th World Tournament, a newcomer who easily defeated all of his opponents and won, defeating them with a single blow, but he was still very respectful. He later entered the 20th World Tournament as well. This second win was enough to cement him as a martial arts champ. Of course, a lot of people didn't like him because of the fact that he won so easily, despite how respectful he was as a warrior. Some people were interested in his power, either wanting to train under him or to kill him. But not much ever really came of this. He's not really the teacher type, so it's not like he ever took up any students. Although it does give Master Roshi some more notoriety too, because that's his teacher. Roshi's been holding on to one of the Dragon Balls for a while, and after all his time on Earth, one day Yulong does bring a Dragon Ball back to Roshi. Given his great power and speed, he's traveled basically all over Earth at this point, wanting to learn more about it, and he stumbled across this one day. He only knew it's important because Roshi had one of them. And now they're matching, master and student, both with their own Dragon Ball.
Aww.
Not knowing that Gohan also has one of his own. Although, this brings the Red Ribbon Army towards Kame House one day. They've always seen Yulong as a threat because he's regarded as one of the strongest people in the world. People clearly think he's not human. They don't know what he is. Is he some sort of deity sent down here? Is he just a weird mutated human? Is he an alien? There's all theories going around it. But either way, there's two things the Red Ribbon Army doesn't like. For one, this guy has too much power. And two, they eventually get more info on Dragon Balls. And they can see that two of them are at Kame House, the place where Yulong supposedly lives. So they go out there to get them. Although it doesn't really go well. They send a bunch of troops there first, and Roshi and Yulong stop them pretty easily. More and more troops are sent out, and then Yulong decides to stop it at the source. He wants to make sure Kame House is a peaceful place. The Red Ribbon Army is known as a threat worldwide too, so he's doing everyone a favor. He seeks out their base, single-handedly defeating the entire army. Word of this spreads around and he becomes an even bigger hero. He wasn't even using his full power for that. He's so accomplished. He's traveled the world. He's mastered many forms of martial arts. He won 2 world tournaments back-to-back. He's known as a world champ and now a hero for defeating the Red Ribbon Army. Although Roshi's not too sure how to feel because it seems like he's getting a bit too comfortable. Yulong's a very nice kid and is pretty charming too, but Roshi's disappointed that he's not training seriously anymore. At some point, after realizing his amazing power, and easily mastering all forms of martial arts that he could learn, Yulong realized that a lot of this is kind of pointless. Mainly the pursuit of strength in general. It's not that he's letting it get to his head, rather, he's just getting a little bit lazy about it. Roshi tries to encourage him further because he wants to see what he's truly capable of, but he doesn't really do much, if at all. Plus, it doesn't help that Roshi is out of his league now training him, and the fact that Yulong knows nothing about his heritage. Strangely enough, it's not like he's pursuing fame or fortune either. In this regard, he's also the opposite of Frieza. He likes a simple life. And, of course, just like what happened with Kakarot turning into Goku, he's purely good as well. Yulong can't really describe why, but it feels like he knows what a hectic life of war is like somehow, and the peace he has now is amazing. He does like fighting, but he also likes a quiet life. That's also part of why he's fallen back on fighting and training in general. Even though he does like it, he's grown a little bit bored of it to an extent. What can Roshi do to make him realize his full potential? One night, Yulong darts awake. There's a full moon in the sky, and he can sense a strong ki far away. Is this a threat? Or maybe a good challenge for him or something? Yulong's not sure, but the power is impressive, so he decides to see what it is. Especially because the ki that he feels, it seems kind of hectic. He arrives to the source of it pretty quickly, and he sees a giant monkey. He also sees what appears to be Roshi's former student, Gohan. He's heard about him and seen a picture of him, so he does recognize him. Yulong asks what happened, but Gohan says he's not too sure. But he recognizes Yulong too. He thanks Yulong for coming here to help, but he says not to hurt the ape. That's his son. He transformed into that. And with a single blow, he knocks him unconscious. The giant ape falls to the ground, de-transforming. And for the first time, he sees Goku. Yulong also just saved Gohan's life because little did he know, Gohan was about to die to that. He was mainly just interested in the power, but it seemed to be nothing. Gohan is glad to finally meet him though. He's heard a lot about Yulong due to his notoriety, and he knows that it's Roshi's student as well. But Yulong's a bit confused about this kid though. He transformed into that giant ape? Weird. He sits to talk with Gohan a bit more. But without Frieza being in this story, how did Goku get here? Well, that requires a little bit of history on the Cooler Force. After the supposed death of Frieza, King Cold
pretty much
gave all
Cooler
his
just
power
do
to
the same thing?
Cold respected him for killing his younger brother. That shows cruelty. He'll make a great leader. And besides, it's not like he'd want to pass it down to anyone else. Cooler is growing stronger by the day as well. Maybe not to the extent of what Frieza would have grown to be, but Cold still notes his potential. Cooler was a very successful leader. He even took his armored squadron, and they became his right-hand men, with people like Zarbon and Dodoria below that. In a sense, it was business as usual. Maybe not with the same iron grip Frieza had, but still, a more powerful and domineering presence than King Cold. He even got an interesting suggestion one day from the god of destruction Beerus, influencing him to destroy planet Vegeta. He also does know about the legend of the Super Saiyan and doesn't really want to mess with that. Same with the Super Saiyan god. Broly, of course, is still sent away like normal, and Bardock eventually realizes what's happening and is able to send Kakarot away too. The only survivors are Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. Realistically, Cooler's involvement would change some of the Granola arc too, specifically with the Heaters, as well as Bardock's mission on Planet Cereal and stuff like that, but this will all come later. For now, this is just a brief rundown as to why Goku's here in the first place.
Right.
Following his transformation, Goku recovers the next day and wakes up, shocked to see Yulong because he's never seen someone that looks like him. But Goku comes to like him because he seems like a pretty nice guy. Also, Gohan tells him of what happened, and he learns that Yulong was the one to stop it. He's a smart, respectful, and strong warrior, and thankfully not a creep like Roshi. And with this meeting, that cements Goku's interest in Yulong as a fighter. After talking more to Yulong and learning more about him, Gohan could already tell this will be a clear inspiration for Goku going forward. And with that, we leave off here for now. What do you guys think about this part? And what do you think is going to happen next as we continue this story?
Alright. Yeah, we're gonna watch part 1 right now, then we gonna double up, how I do it. But yeah, okay, I'm interested what's going on, what's gonna happen next. Because Cooler being good, that's crazy. And then we'll see how, obviously that's gonna help Goku. He'll get stronger. And then I don't know, eventually Frieza, cause Goku gonna catch up to Frieza eventually, hopefully. And then yeah, I'm ready to see him, man. Anyway, make sure you check out the last video of Salad Sand that I watched right here. Check out another video I watched. You might like, enjoy. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next time.